And now we are going to start calling up Parks Commissioner candidates. Everybody ready? And you guys will get 2.5 minutes each to just do a quick intro, talk about why you're running. I'm going to be using a yellow card to let you know that there's 30 seconds left, and a red card to know that your time is over. And first up is Elisa Lee, running for Parks Commissioner position 1.
I was about to start talking while I walked up here, and I was like, wait a second, hold on. Don't start yapping yet. But I'm excited. It's really great to be here tonight, everybody. So. Okay, good evening, everybody. My name's Elisa Lee, and I'm really excited to speak with you all tonight. I'm running for Parks Tacoma, position 1. I was appointed back in December, and I'm on your ballot this year for 2025 to hopefully earn a full term. I'm just going to start off by saying this is not a path that I saw for myself. I moved to Tacoma 15 years ago. It was the city where I got the scholarships, and I was just trying to make a better life for myself. I call Tacoma the city that made me, but in reality, I grew up in a rural area in a blue-collar household, navigating both my mixed race identity and the American way of life. As I got older, I often found myself, as so many children of immigrants do, working as my family's advocate. Helping my family secure disability for my little sister taught me so much about the system and about how well it didn't work for everyone. So that was a really big motivating factor for me to want to give back with my career path. After college, I went on to canvass a lot of the city's doors. I was a campaign manager before moving into other work where I worked on policy at the state level. And today I feel like I'm coming full circle on that journey. As somebody who has long been a huge fan of Tacoma Parks and considered them a sanctuary, it's now an honor to me to serve as their steward. In my appointed term, I've worked hard to listen in and learn about what Tacoma needs, and I'm working hard to keep our parks and programs accessible for youth and seniors, inclusive for our diverse communities, and safe and welcoming for everybody. My top priorities right now are, especially during these tenuous times, are protecting the programs that serve our working families. So that means protecting Club B and Beyond the Bell. Second is protecting that access and inclusion piece. So making sure that our seniors feel like we're also serving them. Tacoma's senior population is only growing. And then that also means making sure that we keep up our cultural programming. Tacoma is a diverse city, and that is one of our strengths. Finally, I'm thinking a lot about safety, both from a climate perspective and also one of user experience. Safety to me means, are we thinking about fire safety? Do we have a plan in place for our beautiful urban forests at Point Defiance and out at Swan Creek? Are we activating those spaces? Do they feel safe and welcoming? Is there good line of sight? Can you access them safely? I did a listening session a couple weeks ago, and the most adorable little boy came up to me when I said, "What do you want for this park?" He says, "I want a fence. Look at those cars. They make me feel unsafe." Literally straight from the mouth of the kids. So I'm just here to serve. I really hope that I'm able to win a full term, and I really appreciate your guys' time. Thank you.
And next up, we have Ron Clark.
Hi, everyone. Okay. Hi, everyone. It's lovely to be with you here tonight. My name is Bronwyn Clark, running for Parks Tacoma Position 3. And I'm running because we are facing really deep cuts to social services. Extreme weather events are now our new normal. And even Parks Tacoma is having to make cuts. We need leadership that will protect the programs our most vulnerable residents rely on, while also bringing innovative approaches to do more with less to meet the moment. So I believe our parks can be more than places to play. I think they can be hubs for community care, connection, and climate resilience. And like Elisa, I fell in love with Tacoma way back in 2014 when scholarships brought me to UW-T. And since 2020, I have been proud to call the South End home, while I have been working with every level of government to strengthen public services by co-designing them with community. From helping Denver address gun violence, to streamlining Medicaid services, to supporting a guaranteed income program right here in Tacoma, I've seen how systems are made stronger through partnerships in good times and bad. And that's why I'm especially proud to be sole endorsed by the Park Staff Union. Our park staff know how vital it is to preserve and protect what we have. And they trust me to lead with practicality and also vision. And not only do I have the skills to drive innovative community-led services, but I have also served on numerous policy and budget committees, and I know how to align internal resources to actually deliver for our community. So my approach is simple: protect what we have, invest in neighborhoods that have been left out for far too long, particularly south of the freeways. And even though times are tough, I think we also have to dream in these moments about alternatives, ways that we can structure our parks better. So imagine the money that we would save in the future if every Tacoman could find connection, resources, and belonging in green gathering spaces that are right close to them. Imagine how we could support our youth and our unhoused community if we created meaningful jobs through a local climate conservation corps to address our essential climate resilience work. And imagine community centers where seniors can also find support in addition to recreation. So there are many ways in which I think our parks, we need to level them up to meet our current and our future needs. And even though our parks are really good as is, it's also not the time for the status quo. So it's time to build those collaborative partnerships, and I hope you will trust me to do that. Thank you.
Next, we have Carla and Torno for position 2.
Great. Okay. I'm Carla Santorno. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm running to be retained as the Park Tacoma Position 2 Commissioner. I'm the retired superintendent from Tacoma Public Schools. I retired in 2022. And the one thing I said to myself is, Carla, you're not going to just move out of the community. We're going to really keep working on behalf of our students and our families and our community. One of the things that I want you to know about me is I do have experience. I've done strategic planning. I've been creative budgeter. I've done problem solving. Those are all skills you need to do a good job with our parks. I'm also a communicator, and I have a penchant for collaboration, and I'm really excited about the community involvement. And I also know that getting in community involvement goes beyond a survey. You just can't give a survey and have that it. So what I want you to know is what I will be working on, and what I'm about is those priorities of number one, and you've heard some of my colleagues say that, is maintaining and extending our inclusion and access to our parks. We need to make sure that it doesn't matter what your background is, what your ability is, or what your zip code is, that you have access to incredible parks and incredible trails and incredible activities. So it's not just about the park, but also about the programs. I really believe in improving and revitalizing all facets of the park system. And that means that we have to hear the voices of our community to come in and say, hey, this is what we need, this is what we want. What often happens is we hear from the people that come and volunteer. And one of the things I want to do is make sure we hear the voices of the people that don't come in, but that we need to go to them and say, hey, this is what we need. Secondly, I really want to make sure that thirdly, I want to really make sure we keep our parks safe. That means that regular maintenance and making sure somebody's getting out there and fixing the sidewalks and the playground equipment. 2, raising awareness about how you look around your park and find out it's safe. And 3, those greenhouse gases and emissions, and make sure we look at that. I believe in partnerships. We're going to need to go, as we lose resources, we're going to have to go to a time where we work together with the city, with the philanthropic groups, to make sure we come together and be a better steward of our work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And next we have Sherry Thorpe for position 1.
Yes, my name is Jerry Thorpe. And parks are a real treasure here in Tacoma. People don't really sometimes understand that we have one of the finest park systems in the United States. Not just a good park system, not just a so-so good park system, but one of the best. And that's because we have people who are involved. And I know I was taken to task the other day by a person who said, well, Jerry, why would you run for something that doesn't pay money? And I said, well, I could spend some time talking to you about that, but I don't know that I would be very successful. And when I was on the park board, I had a neat experience. I was able to help feed E.T. when he first came to our parks. He was an E.T. He was an orphan walrus. And they handed me this big bottle of minced clam and cream and so on and so forth. And I got to feed E.T. What an experience that was. And I think being involved with the parks has been so much for me. And I've always been willing to work with other people, to help other people, to encourage them to be involved. We have a wonderful zoo, and the zoo has came through a lot of hard times. And one of the things that I had no control over at all was that we lost our snow leopard. We had a snow leopard. Can you imagine that? And it got taken away because of some plan someplace else. And so I want to encourage people to be involved, to volunteer. It's a great way to be a part of your community, is to be involved with an organization like this or neighborhoods. And I look around me and I see parks that have really the essence of what it is to have a good community. And so I'm running for re-election. I'm running for election, excuse me.
And up next, we have Malachi Cabrera for position 2.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Malachi Cabrera. I'm running for Parks Commissioner position number 2. And first off, I want to say you're welcome to all the Parks Board candidates here, because I actually told Jen at the last meeting that we need to have a way to communicate to our Central Neighborhood Council. So what better way to do that than to meet you all where you're at and introduce ourselves as candidates who are going to be on your ballot. So you're welcome. For me, parks is not only professional, but it's also personal. So I actually grew up here in Pierce County. I came from a military family. JBLM was the duty station of my stepfather, who decided to call Washington home. So grew up right in Parkland, the redheaded stepchild of Tacoma, and then moved right into the city as soon as I turned 18. My story of how I came to Tacoma, why I moved to Tacoma, though, is deeply personal. I'm a gay Black man, and my partner couldn't be here tonight, but he sent his love to you all. But my parents actually ended up kicking me out of my home because of my sexuality. And the parks was the place where I felt safe, where I knew that no matter who's in that park or why they're there, I can connect with them. And so as a young individual who is trying to seek connection within Tacoma, the parks was a fantastic place to start that. And as we saw teen deaths here in the city, I thought, why now than never than to be a young 21-year-old ambitious who's doing something crazy like run for Parks Commissioner. Policy-wise, I do want to see more equitable investment into our Southern Parts of our city. Brown touched base on this earlier, but I actually am a South End resident. I actually lived in South Tacoma before moving to the South End about 3 weeks ago. and I see and walk the streets of the South End and know and hear directly from community about a need that is not being filled there. So how do we get to that? I currently look at some current initiatives that the Parks District is doing, and I'm a strong supporter of the 10-minute walk initiative. So that says no matter where you are in our city, you're 10 minutes away from a park. But I'm not looking at the physical structure. I'm also looking at how you get to that park. The accessibility is equally as important. Are we going to have safe bike trails? Are we going to have safe sidewalks? Who are we going to partner with? Is it with the city of Tacoma? Is it with the school district? Whatever that may look like, I want to make sure I'm a strong advocate on the Parks Board to ensure that we see investment, not only see it, but feel it every single day in all parts of our city. So I'm Malachi Cabrera, and I hope to have your support on November 4th.
Close this portion out. We have Pete Reyes.
So yes, hello, my name is Pete Reyes. I'm honored to serve as your Parks Tacoma Park Commissioner for position number 3. I'm running to retain my seat because I believe that Tacoma's parks are one of our community's greatest treasures. My wife and I chose Tacoma as our forever home after the first time we visited and saw the beauty of Owen Beach at Point Defiance Park with our children. Since then, we spent countless days exploring our trails and parks, riding bikes, and building community through park events. Before joining the board, I served on the Active Living Advisory Council with Parks Tacoma. I volunteered here at the Tacoma Nature Center. I helped clear some of these trails here. Also, I'm a tree steward with the Tacoma Tree Foundation. So being appointed to the park board was deeply meaningful to me in a full circle moment. My family's Tacoma story began in Point Defiance Park. And today I'm one of the commissioners of that park. Professionally, I'm a union nurse with 15 years of experience in behavioral health. So I know firsthand how access to safe, supportive spaces can improve physical health and mental well-being. As a commissioner and as a father, I approach park board decisions through the lens of public health, safety, and community connection. I'm working so that every park and community center can be a place where families gather, children grow, and seniors feel welcome. I believe that our parks can prevent youth violence, celebrate our diversity, and create belonging across Tacoma. That means to me continuing to invest in safe playgrounds, accessible trails, and programs that benefit working families like my own. It also means ensuring that our facility spaces and trees are resilient in the face of climate change so that they can remain vibrant and healthy for generations to come. As a proud husband and father of 2 middle schoolers, I know how powerful access to safe, affordable, and engaging community spaces can be in shaping young lives. I will work so every child in Tacoma have the same opportunities that my own children have had to grow up in a community that values health, safety, and belonging. I'm proud to be endorsed by Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland and progressive leaders, Speaker Lori Jenkins, Senator Yasmin Trudeau, Executive Ryan Mello, and Jamaica Scott, who represents the district that we're in today, as well as my labor siblings at 11 labor unions and counting, including the union that represents the Tacoma teachers and firefighters. It's been an honor to serve on your park board, and I'd be honored to continue this work through your support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we're gonna shift things up here a little bit. So these microphones are only so the folks online can hear. They're not to amplify inside, so you guys will have to make sure that you're speaking up. I'm sure it'll be fine. Each candidate will get a 3-minute intro to talk about themselves, where they're from, where they're running, and then 2 minutes to answer each question, and then 3 minutes for closing. We have several questions that we came up with as the board, and then I've been gathering questions from the note cards. We'll add those in as we go, and yeah, let's do it. So should we do both of those?
Yeah, he'll get one and then I'll
Okay,
have
go
one.
ahead. Yeah, anybody? Yeah, absolutely. Yep. People
at home can change their view, right?
Tiffany,
think so.
I'm going to sit at the table and say a few things, if you can let us know if you can hear clear.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Hello.
If you can move the mic closer.
Hello. Okay, all right, thank you. And then that should pick up both of you, so you don't have to like pass it back and forth.
Okay.
Is
that wireless?
Mm-hmm, that's wireless.
Yes.
It's our first time using it.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna sit here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no kidding.
Am I right?
Let's go a couple down. Yeah.
There you go. Beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
She's gorgeous, ladies and gentlemen. Have you met her? Natasha Palmer.
And then, we will be, so whoever answers the question last, will answer the next one.
I think we've gotten used to this platform.
Make sure.
Are you ready for questions?
No, they're gonna do their intros first.
Oh,
So I
perfect.
just make sure I got all my time set together. Good. Everybody ready? Good? Okay. All right, so Jessica, your 3 minutes.
Perfect.
Now.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, so much for having me here tonight. My name is Jessica Johnston. I'm running for Tacoma City Council, position 6 at large, which means all of you can vote for me. It is a citywide race. I'm very excited to be here tonight. I'm a local Hilltop resident currently. I've been in Tacoma for about 10 years. My grandfather was the assessor treasurer of Pierce County in the 70s. If you Google him, his name's Ken Johnston. He was sued a lot for trying to change taxes for folks to make sure that it was a better place for you to live in. Unfortunately, Tacoma's gotten away from that, clearly, as we all know. It's wonderful to be here tonight. I love seeing all of your faces here. I love being with my opponent. We actually have known each other for years, and it's just really nice to be together. I actually was talking with the mayor today at Courthouse Square, which is a building I run downtown, about 78,000 square feet of Tacoma. And I was telling her how much I love Latasha, and she said, really? And I said, well, obviously. And she said, like, just looked shocked. And I go, just because we're running against each other doesn't mean we don't have love for each other. Because the thing is, we have love for Tacoma, and we all need to have love for Tacoma. And anybody who puts their hat out into this ring has my respect and my love and my loyalty. You guys get to decide what you want to do, and I'm not upset either way. We are all here to work it out to make it better for you. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs and business owners. As I mentioned, my grandfather, Ken, who worked for the city. And I believe I was raised to make the city better than where you found it, to make anything better than where you found it, to make sure that you are giving people opportunity that you have, to make sure that you are giving people seats at the table. And that is what I am here to do. I have a lot of tenacity. I have a lot of skill. As I mentioned, I run about 100,000 square feet of Tacoma right now, with residences as well as businesses, small businesses. And so I know how they're all running. I know what we've all been fighting for, and it's very scary. We're in weird times right now, and there's a lot of directions we could go, but I believe with my leadership, I will take you in the right direction that will make sure that everyone is helped, to make sure that everyone has a seat at the table, as I mentioned, to make sure that we are living in a community that is good for everyone, good for all. I am running on economics. Small business development is why I am here. I am also not realizing, or it doesn't go over my head, that we need to create our public safety to be a better way than it is currently. And also just to get people involved, to keep people involved. I feel like right now we're losing a lot of our folks. People don't feel like they're being heard. I really want transparency within our city. Thank you, Jennifer.
All right, hello all. I'm Latasha Palmer, running also for Tacoma City Council at large. Also, if you live in Tacoma, you can vote for me. So thank you for having me tonight. This is my neighborhood council. I do live in the Central District. Those who've been here long enough, you call it Hilltop. And so, you know, I'm a mother, I'm an advocate, I'm an entrepreneur. I love my city. I've lived here in my whole life. I live just about in every area code you can think of, whether as a renter or a student, or I've been here, but I chose Hilltop to be the place where I settled, bought my home, and am raising my kiddos. My kiddos go to Stanley. And I did so because this is where I feel like we have the most beautiful diversity, the most beautiful culture. It needs to be preserved and honored. And so it's like, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to do my work, and this is where I'm involved in things like the Hilltop Action Coalition and Aya Community Land Trust that's coming in here. A lot of my, I devote a lot of my time to this area. I know I represent the whole city. My love is here, and I think if we do good work here, it affects the whole city in great ways. So I believe that I am the best candidate because I am the only candidate who's putting forward progressive solutions, forward-thinking solutions to the issues that we're facing, whether that's housing, homelessness, crime, all of the things. I believe that sustainability and collaboration are how we grow without displacement. And I believe that I'm the one who's ready to govern on day one. I've been through some pretty strenuous training that maybe we'll get more into. We did the Charter Review Committee last year, put together 24 progressive recommendations, about none got put on the ballot for you all to vote on. And that was one of the catalysts that made me want to run. The other was, of course, my children. Their father had passed away due to mental illness. He was a veteran, a man of color. And they were very young. And I decided at that point, like, I needed to figure out what's going on, like what's causing these issues that kind of got him to that point. I put myself through school, Columbia University, and brought myself back home because I wasn't sure if I was coming home, I'll be honest. I was at Columbia and I'm thinking I'm gonna network and, you know, find folks to get involved in and work there. But then I thought about, like, okay, what do I want to do when I graduate? I want to bring these skills back. And I thought about, again, a place that's diverse, a place that has so much potential, but we just need people there to get it going. And I thought about Tacoma, and that's why I came back home.
Will you and let people online know that they can put questions in the chat?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, you can give me.
Okay, so I'm going to ask questions, but meanwhile, everyone at home can go ahead and present your own questions in the chat.
If we have enough time, we'll start holding those in and then.
Sure.
I have not.
Okay, so we've got questions broken down into some categories. The first category is city budget and priorities. Who would like to go first in terms of answering?
I can.
Okay.
You went first.
The question is,
So I want to read her.
She's being fair.
2 minutes to answer each question. All right, go ahead.
okay, the question is, Tacoma's budget reflects its values. What areas would you prioritize for increased fundings, and what areas where would you consider cutting?
Good question. So, as a lot of us probably know, Tacoma was in a huge, or is still kind of in a huge deficit. It was like $24 million this last time they went over the budget. And, you know, there was some tough decisions that council had to make in order, you know, where to cut and that sort of thing. I think dealing with the budget at that point was like a little too late. Like what got us to that point to where we were in a $24 million deficit? I think we need there, when I take a look at the budget, there's still lines in there where I'm like, why is this a thing? Or, what is this actually doing to help our city? And so I don't think it's narrowing in specifically on one area. I think it's looking at all of the budget and realizing, hey, this is what's working, this is what's not. Let's get rid of this. Let's place this money in the services that we actually need. I think, we're talking about youth programs, and we're talking about housing. We're talking about public safety. Like, those are the areas that we need to invest more time and resources in. I think, the budget again is based off, we have our taxes and that sort of thing to feed into the budget. But there's, in my opinion, also other areas where we can look for generating more money and to get more resources out there to support those programs and the things that we need. And I think, part of that is people paying fairly into our taxes in the city, no matter your tax bracket. So, so I think if we're smart about it and we go about it in maybe a little bit of a nerdy way where we're going through the paperwork and looking at what we need to change, we can find more funds. We can shift them where they're going to be the most effective. And I think that's the answer that we should go with.
Okay. Would you like me to repeat the question for you?
No, thank you.
All right.
I don't, can I go? I don't think thank you, Latasha. I don't think many of the answers you're going to hear from Latasha and I are going to be different. They're going to be very much the same because we grow up and we live in the same Tacoma that you all live in. We all have the same problems. The issues about our economic development right now is that we're not supporting our small businesses. We increased our business license fees 400% since COVID. So while our small businesses were still dealing with windows and lost profits and all sorts of horrid things that COVID produced, we charged them extra fees. That's not supportive and that is not fair. As I mentioned earlier, I am a huge advocate for small businesses. I manage and look over many, many, many dozens of them every day. It is very important that we care about them. It's very important that they receive our support. Without that, we do not have workforce development. We do not have a great way towards the future. I believe that small businesses are the backbone of our economy. They are the revenue of our economy. Without them, we have nothing. So to be better to them and to be kind to them is very important. And we need to think about that right now. I believe strongly that folks are suffering and we don't want that. Nobody wants to see that here. We really do want to help people. But we have to get in front of it, and the city needs to be more supportive of that. With that said, and this is not a friendly thing, I have been poo-pooed this literally on the street and honked at and thumbs down. I want to bring our city back to work. Our downtown is failing, and it is failing because thousands of people at the municipal building are not back at work. We pay their salary every day. They live in Lakewood, Puyallup, love those cities, great to visit. But if you're not spending your coffee money and your lunch money and your cocktail money and your dinner money and you're buying gifts money in Tacoma and we're paying for your salary, there's something wrong there and we need to fix that. So please bring the employees back to Tacoma.
Okay. Let's see. Jessica, would you like to go to the first time?
Of course.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, so the last person.
We don't get to.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
We'll throw it to Latasha next.
Okay, here's the question. How would you balance immediate community needs with long-term investments in Tacoma's future?
With community needs and long-term investments in Tacoma's future? That's a very strange question to me because that should have been asked a long time ago. So community needs. We need to not have investors that are owning buildings that are just derelict and empty. We need to not allow people to continue to have property in Tacoma that they will take over, they will invest in, and it probably won't be for 10 to 20 years, and we're not going to see anything good of that. So we need to ask people, hey, if you have an empty building, let's turn it into a park. We don't have enough parks in Tacoma. Children need to play. We were just talking about parks. We do not have enough green space in areas like that, but we have a lot of empty buildings. So let's make those people pay for it. Let's bring them back here. Let's ask them to please turn your building that is falling apart into a place that we can all thrive from, into a place that is beautiful, into a place that inspires us every day. That's what I believe. Did I answer your question, sir? Thank you. Can you
Okay.
repeat it? Sorry.
Of course. How would you balance community needs with long-term investments in Tacoma's future?
Those things go hand in hand for me. I don't think you can have one without the other, meet one without meeting the other. Community needs mean that we have the spaces that we need, means that people feel safe, means that people have jobs and living wages and all of the things that meet their basic needs. Our growth in the city and our stability and economic growth and economic stability rely on folks having what they need. You know, Jen is my neighbor. I don't have to worry about Jen breaking into my car for $20 at night because I know Jen has her own $20. So it's a matter of everyone's better off when everyone's basic needs are met. I too, you know, sometimes I think I get painted as the candidate who's not for small business. I'm absolutely for small business. I think they are the backbone of Tacoma as well. And I think supporting workers and making sure that they have a living wage and can take care of their families and our kids have places to go that are safe, it all ties together. It's all touching each other. And so, yeah, I don't see those two things as separate. I see that there's improvement to be had, and you know, we need to support our small businesses and support our workers and our families. All those things, we need to do those things equally.
Okay. Our next questions come from the category of community engagement.
And it goes to Latasha.
Okay, the question is, what is your plan to ensure city council decisions are transparent and accessible to everyday residents?
This is the whole reason I ran. This is what got me involved here. So I am a huge supporter of any kind of public engagement. It is something that I think is absolutely necessary to move us forward. When I was on the charter review, which if folks may be unfamiliar with that process, it's basically, I was appointed to go through with like a fine comb into the structures and the functions of how the city operates. It's basically the city's constitution. And throughout that process, it was on mine and a couple of other folks' minds we wanted community input. Like that was a non-starter. Like we needed to make sure we brought people in to hear their voices. We made sure that there were translation services and to a point where that had never really happened in council chambers before we did that. And we made sure to communicate with community as far as, hey, this is the subject that we're talking about. So do you have an opinion on that? There was the option to have public comment or not. We said absolutely. Some of us had to fight for that. And so that's, you know, just an example, I guess, of kind of what I've done. And it's carried over from there. I've done work with ShotSpotter. I don't know if folks are familiar with that technology, surveillance technology for policing, where, you know, the community wasn't quite informed about the pros and cons, mostly cons, of what that technology would bring. And so we got a group together and made sure that people had that information and brought that up to council so that they could decide on it. And luckily they took that information to heart. So I think we need to meet people where they're at. We're in 2025. We have the technology to meet people where they're at. And I also believe in neighborhood hubs, which maybe we'll have a chance to go in a little bit more, but spaces like this are what needs to happen more, where people have places to meet and conversate about what they care about.
Great. I agree with so much of what Latasha said. And as I mentioned, we will probably say many of the same things. Part of why I'm running also is because of transparency. I work very closely with the city Events and Recognitions Committee. I am the chair of that committee, and I've seen a lot of different things that have gone on. I work very close with council, that committee. one of the things is budget. I mean, you don't know. One of my friends, colleagues is here tonight. Karen, thank you. And, we always wanted to know, like, let's break open how things are being ran. How are we spending money? How are we using our tax dollars? How are we benefiting the city for it? You can say we're throwing an MLK celebration, but if that's not helping people and we're not getting anything else done, then why the swear word are we doing it? I also, like I mentioned, I believe in the transparency of Tacoma. I believe that we need to speak to people. I know both Latasha and I live on Hilltop. When the bike lanes came in, when the benches came in, it's like, where is all this coming from? And why don't we know how this money is being spent? I found out that the bike lanes cost millions of dollars when we are in a $26 million deficit in the city. Our little benches that we have now are $5,300 a vignette. There's 40 of them on Hilltop. Why is that happening? I'm not really sure, except I went and found out. So when I talk about transparency, I mean, dear council members that are in our district, let's be transparent about where this is coming from, because it's not their issue. The bike lanes, federal money. The vignettes, federal money. If we didn't use this money, kind of like how we didn't in Seattle in 1960 with the monorail, didn't get anywhere, didn't go anywhere. You have to use federal money when you have it. But if you aren't explaining to people why you're using it, you're going to make your city and community really frustrated, thinking that you don't care about their potholes and you don't care about their security because you're putting in benches. So let's tell people why, how we got the money and how we're using it and the reason and where it came from.
Okay.
Do you want to read the online question? Can I break it up a little bit? I can see from here.
Sure. It looks like we have an online question from John Gaines.
Hi, John.
Whose question is it first now?
Oh,
Okay.
is it me first? It's me.
How will you ensure that voices of young people in Central Tacoma, especially those most affected by poverty, violence, and limited opportunities, are not only heard, but actively shape policies and resources that impact their future?
That's a wonderful question, and I absolutely love that because I fully agree that this country is falling apart because our young people are not involved. And we need to make sure that their voices are heard everywhere they go and every time they want to say something. We have a lot of beautiful people in this room. They're probably some of the youngest people that have ever run for any sort of office in Tacoma and or Washington or the country. I think that our young voices need to be heard, absolutely. So it kind of goes back to what I mentioned about wanting smaller community meetings. Not everyone feels comfortable coming to city council or even meetings like this, which this is lovely. You guys are great, very welcoming. But is this a place where an 18-year-old is going to come in and tell us their problems? We need to have flip-flops on, jeans on, eating pizza, sharing Coca-Cola, and asking what they think. How are they feeling? And really get to the heart of our young people. I don't think we really look at them as intelligent as they are and our future. And again, I go back to, I'm everything for the young people. If we don't start celebrating the young people, we have no country left. Do you guys want to continue to see the leadership that we currently have? Or do you want to start building it from the ground up? I ask you that question. So let's give the kids pizza.
Can you read the question again?
Of course.
Thank you.
How will you ensure that voices of young people in Central Tacoma, especially those most affected by poverty, violence, and limited opportunities, are not only heard, but actively shape the policies and resources that impact their future?
So I've seen Tacoma have kind of these checked boxes, right? Or when it comes to, again, public engagement, when it comes to bringing the youth in to get involved in things, there's kind of like this set window for them to get involved and then nothing after that, no encouragement, not really going to where they're at, to Jessica's point, to meet them where they're at, not really utilizing the technology that we have available to us these days in order to meet the youth. My campaign has been a little bit of experiment with trying to reach folks where they're at, getting online and doing on social media. I had a message even today from somebody who was like, hey, I go to TCC and they're fixing the roads down here, but the roads by my house are like, they're almost gravel. So, so it's people being able to speak up in the ways that they want to speak up and feel comfortable speaking up. And I think we can't discount those methods as well. But it's also the neighborhood hubs that I'm talking about, where you have the neighborhood councils. Neighborhood councils, I know, they're struggling for membership, right? They're struggling to get the resources from the city that we need in order to do the things we want in our neighborhoods. I think we need centers where our children, we have our community centers, but there's not a whole lot of civic engagement happening there. And so we need to figure out how we create these hubs that marry their entertainment, marry their training and what they're learning, and marry civic engagement and the things that they want to be involved in one spot where they can come and they get this education whether they know it or not. So it's educating them. It's also listening to what they need, because they do know what they need. The children do know what they need. They tell us what they need. We just have to create the opportunities to listen.
How about another one from the online folks? Have you reached out to the homeless community to learn what their needs are and how to solve the housing crisis in Tacoma?
Yeah, so I've reached out to the homeless community. I've reached out to the folks doing the work alongside the homeless community. There's the coalitions that are both real organizations and just like volunteers out there doing the work, right? And what you don't hear as a solution is keep moving these folks around, keep throwing their belongings in garbage bags, keep displacing them so that they have nothing, and throwing expensive rocks out so they can't sleep where they're supposed to go. So moving them up from downtown to Hilltop to if we move them from here, where are they going? It's not a solution. What I have heard is that there's kind of three ways to go about to attack this issue. The first is making sure that there's enough, we have beds available, is what I keep hearing from the folks that I'm talking to, but they're not allocated to folks that actually need it the most. There's restrictions, whether it's people not being able to come in with their partner, or come in with their pet, or things like that. So we need to make sure that the beds that we do have, even though we have less of them, due to budget cuts, that those are available for the people that need them. There needs to be more of a regional approach to the issue, because a lot of the folks that are coming in or that are homeless on our streets right now are actually not from Tacoma, didn't become homeless in Tacoma. They're from other cities, but they come to Tacoma because Tacoma has the resources available for them. What can we do regionally to get collaborate with other cities in order to tackle this, so folks don't have to relocate from their support systems in order to get the other support that they need. And then it's prevention, right? It's creating enough affordable housing and making permanently affordable housing so that it's not just affordable for a couple of years to get a tax refund, but it's affordable for everyone, and getting that money off of out of the market. Housing is a human right.
That's right. I clocked that. Again, Latasha and I really aren't far from each other. We have a lot of the same beliefs, I believe. We see a lot of the same things every day. I will tell you that as I've been doorbelling, as I've been around Tacoma, there's two different issues that people get very confused together. People think that affordable housing and homelessness are the same thing. Affordable housing means me as a 44-year-old woman can afford to buy a condo in Tacoma. Right now, I cannot. Before I started running for council, I was looking into it. It was very expensive, and all of the programs that they say are out there for us are extremely difficult. The barrier is very, very high, even for someone that does everything they're supposed to do that's right every single day. And that's frustrating. And I can't imagine how many other people like that are out there. Our homeless situation, I believe, needs to be looked at from the mental health issues and substance abuse issues. Most folks on the street have been through one trauma that got them there and several more traumas that keep them there. And if we do not help them in their traumatic state, they will never get to the place to have a condo. they will never have a single family home. They aren't being given the opportunity to even have a roof over their head. Actually makes sense. If you don't help people where they're at, they aren't getting help. And so I think it's very important that we take those two, affordable housing and the homelessness situation, and we separate that and we really think about how to get to the root of the problem, how to meet people where they're at. We all deserve a home. My former husband and I, we talk to our unhoused neighbors every single day. Our friend Jenny, who has a cat, who's a wonderful human, she was arrested from being removed from an encampment. She then got a arrest record, then got fired from EQC for having an arrest record. So how are we helping homeless people if we're just going to move them around, arrest them, put them in jail, and then fine them? Great question to ask someone. Unfortunately, I'm not there yet, but I will be.
Okay, here's a question from our audience here. What strengths do you think Central Tacoma has, and how would you like to see them leveraged?
That's a great question. I think without being hasty, and I'm assuming most of us are from this neighborhood, Central Tacoma is dope. It's one of the best neighborhoods in Tacoma. I believe that it is thriving. I believe it is diverse. I believe that Central Tacoma is more like America. And actually, when we had the show Undercover Billionaire come in to town, they actually did say that. They chose Tacoma and Central Tacoma because it is almost the same makeup as all of America. So we're a very diverse place. So I believe that if we all listen together, if we come to these community meetings together, if we sit down together, we can make a lot of change. And we can make a lot of change that would make a difference to all people in Tacoma. I am over hearing about the politics. There's nothing in Tacoma that is partisan. It doesn't matter what party you're in right now. It really doesn't. What matters is that you're voting. What matters is that you're here today, right now. Potholes and crime do not have a party. We have a voice together to make a difference together. So it is up to us to have difficult conversations, to cross our hands across the aisle, to make friends with people that they keep calling Natasha my opponent. This is my homegirl. This is someone who I care deeply about and want to see do good. So whether it's me or it's her, it doesn't matter. What matters is having leadership that cares for everyone in Tacoma. And I think the Central neighborhood does an amazing job of showing what that looks like. And I'm so proud to be a resident here. Thank you.
So as I mentioned before, Central Tacoma is home. It's always where, growing up, you heard some stories about Central Tacoma. And when I told my dad I was gonna buy a home up here, he was a little concerned, right? Because the stories that he heard about what used to happen up here. Times have changed, but what hasn't changed is folks are so close knit and there for each other. We go to our wonderful Safeway, and I'm running into all sorts of folks that I know, and we have brief conversations about our kiddos and what's happening up around the craziness that's happening up around the hill. But then we have our cool mom and pop shops who need more support, and but I think that it's important to also mention that, the things that make Central cool and the things that make Central home and the culture here, I believe is very much in danger because it is so cool that other folks want to come in but a lot of times that coming in means some folks are displaced or costs go up for those that are here, and so they can't afford things. And so we need to make sure, take the steps to keep it as cool as it is. And that takes making sure that things that happen in our neighborhood up here, when it comes to development, when it comes to new businesses coming in, when it comes to what we're building, residents need to have a say in what's happening, and bottom line. So instead of things like a business improvement association, which only cares about the business stakeholder, not even the business stakeholders, it's the landowners. So the small businesses are also left out of the conversation. We need to make sure that we bring everybody to the table, including residents, including the folks that are going to have to live with the decisions that are made here, and keep hilltop.
Okay. This is another one from the audience. What is your experience with city policy that makes you able to start in your position on city council on day one?
Sorry, one more time. Is it you? I thought it was me. It's me. Okay, sorry. No, it's okay.
What is your experience with city policy that makes you able to start in your position on city council on day one?
Yeah, so I think city council knows me, but like they know my face, they know I'm in council chambers quite a bit these days. And it's usually, there to voice my concerns about something. It's there when I have researched something and I believe that there's something that needs to be brought to the attention of the council. But kind of what, catalyst for all of that was the charter review work last year. So again, the charters went looking at just about everything in the city and how it operates, to like the form of government, what the mayor does, what our council members do, how long they serve, all the things. And so I took a real deep dive. A lot of the times it's just kind of it's a show, right, with a review. And so it's like, hey, let's cross this T and dot this I and then call it a day. I went in and wanted to make sure that it wasn't just that. I wanted to make sure that it actually had the potential to do some good for Tacoma. And so that took looking at what other cities were doing in their charters, looking at what's possible in the research. And so we put together those 24 recommendations. Most of the progressive ones started with me. I put forth policing accountability, or like asking for police oversight in the charter. I put together election reform options so that more people can be included in these campaigning than they are now. So there's that, and the work that never didn't finish after that. We put together a policing accountability, again, coalition. So we're trying to get more of a ordinance around what surveillance can look like, how people can use AI, and how, because a lot of people aren't having that. Tacoma's not having that conversation yet, and we need to. So I'm ready to jump in because I got that base boot camp training. So I'm ready to go. Wonderful. I have, as I mentioned, I am the chair of City Events and Recognitions Committee, which throws the Dr. Martin Luther King celebration, the City of Destiny Awards, as well as does the funding for special event funding. So all of the beautiful events that we have here, the Porch Fest, the Honk Fest, Pride, Mosaic, all of that comes through my committee. I busted open the books, and I know Latasha briefly mentioned, looking at things, and I know this person, I won't mention his name, is not a fan of anyone in this room, I'm assuming, but looking open things every 10 years and making sure that departments are actually spending the money the way that they should is huge. And I know that it sounds harsh, but it is true. And we should look at everything. I should be looked at every 10 years. Latasha should be looked at every 10 years. The city should be looked at every 10 years. One thing that I have done on the City Events and Recognitions Committee is looked at it. I have been the chair. Not only am I leading it to bring people recognition and celebration and all these wonderful things, I'm looking at it to say, how much does it cost us? How much do we pay to do this? It costs almost $50,000 to do MLK and City of Destiny Awards. And then we get another, now that budgets are cut, we get about $90,000 to $100,000 for our special events. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money being spent. Why has no one ever looked at private money? Why has no one ever asked local companies in Tacoma, the Weyerhaeuser family, the Rust family, all of the people who live here, who have called it home since the pioneers came? Why did we not ask them for money to put that on MLK? Why are we paying for it? We have other things to do with our funding. So I have looked very deeply into how boards and committees are spending our cash, and it's a little reckless. And I would like to change that. And I would like to make more committees come together and get that funding. Let's call going. Let's ask Bezos for that cash.
Okay, this is another one from the audience. I'm going to condense it just a little bit.
How dare you?
How will you work with the council to make the hiring process for the new city manager more transparent to the community?
And that's me. Yeah. That's a wonderful question, and I welcome that greatly. I have followed councils since I was 19 years old living in Seattle. It's very important that people follow councils and how our city council runs itself. I would go to guess that if I was to ask a lot of you how you thought we were run, you'd probably get it wrong. We are a heavy city manager, not a heavy mayor. And a lot of people wanting to put Mayor Woodards under the microscope and condemn her for things that are happening within our city, when really it was not just Elizabeth Pauley, our former city manager, but really it was city council. City council did not take the heat that they should have during the term of Mayor Woodards. She should not have been thrown under the bus alone because she did not make those decisions alone. She made those decisions based off of council. It is up to us. The city manager is hired by council, and the city manager we need needs to be hard, needs to be a leader, needs to be very, very strong and learn how to take opinions of a lot of different people, especially those on council, as well as our citizens that live here in our city. So I hope that we have a city manager that realizes that the city is a business. The city taxes are revenue, and we need to run it as such. Running it as a little school playground doesn't really work well, and we're not really getting very far from that. So let's stop playing nice, let's start playing hard, and let's get things done in Tacoma. Thank you.
Question again, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
How would you work with the council to make the hiring process for the new city manager transparent to the community?
Hopefully I'm on the council, so I have a say. That's huge. So I think that not only the hiring, I think people just don't know maybe what the city manager does. And so there's a little bit of education that needs to happen there. As far as us, yes, the city manager is like, they should suggest things and kind of direct, I guess, where let the city council know what they're doing, right, or what their options are. They should not direct what they're doing. And I think it's a little bit of a, hey, this is what's under the power of the city manager. This is what's under the power of the mayor. This is what's under the power of the council. The council and the mayor are actually just pretty much equal. So it's not, if Victoria has any kind of the blame, it's equal. It's not just Victoria or the rest of the city council. And so I think we need to make sure that we're bringing in folks that meet the qualifications, and those qualifications need to be clear. It needs to be folks that, I don't think most people even knew Elizabeth Pauley existed during her term, which is a problem in my opinion. I think we need a city manager who is aware and interested in what's happening around the city, aware of all of the options that are available so that they can present those in a way to the council that's unbiased. If we have to have a city manager, I think we need to look at their public engagement history as well as their ability to help run a city. But what I've heard from folks is like, even in the last process, it was like looking for a unicorn, somebody that fits all of these things may not exist. And so what do we do? Other cities have sometimes split up the role of the city manager into, hey, this person is in charge of the public engagement while this person's in charge of looking at the budget. So I think we need to get creative that way too, to find the right person or people.
Okay. So this was kind of a lightning round question, I guess. This person wants to know your position on the following 3 policies. 1, camping ban. 2, tenants' bill of rights. And 3, workers' bill of rights.
So quick fire as in.
I mean, no, really, that's yes, I need clarification. Is that yes, yes? No? I mean, you want yeses? Like, when you mean like?
I think, what is your position? Do you favor, approve, or disapprove of the items?
Those are heavy questions.
So camping ban needs to go. Bottom line, I think that there's some work to do as far as looking at what the options are to replace that. I think camping ban was put into place as something to try. A lot of the community looked at it and was against it. Even the council was like, very concerned about it when it was first implemented, but they still voted it in because they didn't have other options, again, presented to them, partly, from the city manager who was supposed to present them with these options. And so, yes, there needs to be work done with that and getting, I am a huge fan of housing first. And so moving them from place to place does not make sense. Tenant Bill of Rights was next.
Tenants Bill of Rights.
Tenants Bill of Rights is coming up for revision here. They're meeting their 2-year mark. I am for Tenant Bill of Rights. I think that if we're talking about homelessness and addressing those issues, it also encapsulates tenants' rights. There needs to be tweaking. We've heard that some of the small landlords are hurting because of what's happening. And I've heard that the folks who put it forward to begin with understand this, and that's why you put something forward and then you can tweak it. And I think we do that, but we don't throw the whole thing out. Workers' Bill of Rights, I'm absolutely for it. Raising the minimum wage is it just makes sense. People need to be able to work and take care of their needs and their families. And there's a way to do that where it's not harmful to our small businesses. We can support our small businesses in that work instead of taking resources. It's not take resources from one to give to another. We can do both. So yeah, and I say similar there. If it's, I think it's basically going to put on the ballot. People are going to vote on it. It's my job to do the best work with it that I can if it gets passed. So. I'm going to start off my response with consequences matter. And that is my response to every single one of those 3 questions that you just provided. Consequences matter. Camping bans, do I want to see that? No, I don't think it's wonderful to move people around. I don't think it's wonderful to not have a plan for unhoused folks, but I also don't think it is wonderful to let our young children walk over people on the streets without any sort of empathy. How will they grow up? What kind of country will we have in 50 years from now if we teach children just to walk over each other? That makes 0 sense to me. So we do need to find a resolution, and it is our issue. We've created this problem. We need to resolve it. And I think by that, as I said, consequences. We need to make sure that we do have a place where folks can go. And we kind of talked about that earlier, is really getting to the heart and root of the problem of why folks are on the streets and really helping them where they're at, meet them where they're at, help fix the issue, help solve the problem. With the
Tenants Bill of Rights.
The Tenants Bill of Rights. So I am a landlord. I run businesses. I also run residential. I totally understand where people are coming from, but they're not thinking about the mom and pop. They're not thinking about Sam and Sally that raised their children in Northeast Tacoma, that bought their home, that then bought a little condo on Ruston, and they're using their home as a rental property to make income. That if they're screwed over because their tenants are not paying their rent, that now they have no retirement. They've lost all their money. Who's coming for them? What program is coming for those people? I ask you that. So help me figure that out. Hardworking people that have actually given a home, that are creating affordable housing for the city, are being screwed over because we're gonna let people just hang out in there and not pay rent. Think about it. Slow to yourself and let me know your thoughts. Next one.
Workers' Bill of Rights.
Workers' Bill of Rights. I absolutely love the fact that people should all make money. I want to make money. Everybody wants to make money. We all want to be in that place. Do you want to pay $50 for a cheeseburger? Because that's what's going to happen now. And all of our small businesses are going out of business if that passes. We need to rethink every policy Tacoma's ever put in front of our face and redo page 32 in 6-point font.
Want another one?
Yeah. 2 more.
What are you gonna do to uplift the arts community in Tacoma?
Is it me first?
Yep.
I absolutely love the arts. I am an artist. If you cannot tell, I've been a performer since I came out of the womb. I mean, I'm really honest right now, but I believe in the arts. The arts, if it was not for theater, if it was not for art programs, I would not be who I am today. I am a leader, and I am strong, and I am brave because art brought me there. Without art, we have nothing. That's probably one of the best things I want to run on, and I never get to talk about. I support Spaceworks. I support every kind of artist program that we have. I wish that we had more spots for graffiti artists. I wish we had more spots for children to realize that you can do all sorts of things with art.
You could be a gallery owner. You could be all sorts of things. Art is a beautiful thing. Art speaks all different languages. Art speaks from the heart, and we're nothing without art. So I would do everything I can to absolutely support the arts in Tacoma. Thank you. Question again.
What are you going to do to uplift the arts community in Tacoma?
So similarly, the arts community is very important to me. My kiddos are very involved in the arts community, doing dance and, well, depends on depends on the month, I guess, what they're interested in. But that's the point, right? They're able to try these different things and be out there and test their confidence and improve as people. And so arts, I think, are absolutely irreplaceable when it comes to their benefit for our community. There's opportunities to, again, make Tacoma a little bit more affordable so that artists can have housing here, can do their work without having to worry about losing their home or they're being displaced. There's the issue now that's been kind of talked about with the Tacoma Creates Fund, where, you know, there's a little bit of back and forth between what that money should be allowed to go towards. So the artists, or the small time artists, or maybe the lesser people who haven't received the grants year after year, are asking for some of the money to go towards owning a place to do their art out of, because a lot of times these places will come to be and have amazing programs, but then rent is what gets them displaced, or they have to shut down these programs. And so it's looking at where's the sweet spot between making sure our programs continue and putting our funds like Tacoma Creates towards those things, but then also how do we make those programs more resilient by putting them in places where they can stay permanently.
Okay, I would like to stop now and have them do their closing.
3 minutes.
You don't have to talk.
Okay. Like, you want us to stop talking?
Is he ready with that?
Sure. Yeah, so thanks again for listening. I am again running for this city because I see the amazing potential in what Tacoma can be. I think it's an amazing city already. I've traveled across, the state. I lived in New York and Georgia and things temporarily, and then came back home because Tacoma is it. When I left, that's when I recognized just the beauty of what Tacoma is, and again, what it can be. But I've also recognized that it can't get there if there's barriers, like we have basically 5 people on a bench that can say no to this progression or innovative ideas that have worked for other cities, and then Tacoma can't advance. And so that's why I'm here. That's why I'm running. I want to make sure that your voice is brought into the conversation. I want to make sure that as an at-large position, everybody's voice is brought in, not just downtown, not just the north side or the east side, but everybody and everybody equally. That is my promise to you. That's something I would do. And of course I live here. So Central is going to be always near and dear to my heart. And I think, again, improving Central District is going to be top priority because that feeds into improving the rest of the city. I'm the only candidate engaged proactively in creating housing policies and other policies influencing things like policing surveillance and policing accountability. Again, I went through that charter boot camp, so I'm ready to govern on day 1. And I think we're in unprecedented times. And I'll be honest with you there, like times are different, times are tough. That's one of the reasons I decided to run right now. And I think we need folks that aren't just going to manage or do the status quo or continue with the things we've already done. We need folks that are going to be forward thinking, deal with the issues, get us caught up. Tacoma's behind, get us caught up, but then also forward thinking as to how can we situate ourselves to grow and be the city that we can be in the next 10 years and take care of the issues we need to take care of. Stabilize Tacoma. And I think, again, we do that block by block. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for having me tonight. Thank you, Latasha, for being here tonight. Thank you for all of you for putting this on to have our voices heard. I think that that's one of the most important things Tacoma can do right now is listen. And I'm a listener. I am a debater. There's a lot of people in this room that know I will fight until I hear my voice heard. And I want to hear your voice heard too. I think that we all matter. Something I wanted to bring up that makes me quite upset, when we were talking about parks, I know there's a lot of people here that care so much about parks. My former husband and I were driving home from Stadium District a couple of years ago, and we were literally in a crossfire of drive-by shooting, and it was terrifying. And the worst thing, other than hearing the mother scream to her babies run home, was going back to our house, parking, coming back out, and seeing that the police were there for 5 minutes. So who's there to help the children on the streets? Who was there to answer their questions? The gang dealers, the drug dealers. Those are the ones who are outside, who are running our streets right now, who are guiding our children. When they have questions, it's not us, it's not our leadership that's there, it's the people running the streets. Now they're doing that because that's what they were taught. They were doing that because no one ever stood up for them. I'm not from here. I've been here for 10 years. I was also warned about Hilltop when I was young. We could start driving. I came to visit my cousins in Puyallup, and we were told never to go to Hilltop. The fact that I call Hilltop home and stand strong for Hilltop and would do anything for Hilltop is because I grew up in the right way. I grew up in a place that really believed in small communities, which Hilltop is. But the one thing Hilltop is not receiving is the strength from their leadership. There is no leadership in Tacoma for our children. They are falling because of that. When I can witness a drive-by shooting with 4 different gunmen who then come back the next day and shoot guns off in a parking lot at Safeway, and the police were there for 5 minutes, you think that's safety? No. So before I run out of minutes, because I talk a lot, I am endorsed by the Tacoma Police Department. I was not allowed to talk about that. I was told to keep that quiet because people would call me Republican. I was only allowed to say that once I got the fire department's endorsement 2 days ago. So now I'm allowed to talk about it all. I have the Master Builders endorsement. I have the affordable housing endorsement. I have endorsements by people that care about Tacoma, that want to see things better, that want to grow. You might not agree with them, you might want to call them Republican, but as I mentioned, the potholes and safety have no party. Let's get it together, let's have a voice, let's be leaders for our children, let's make our parks safe. Let's make it so we can come into rooms like this and shake hands even though we disagree about our business districts, even though we have different ideas about our future. Let's make it safe together. Please vote for Jessica Johnston. Thank you.
Thank you both so much.